All right, we're ready. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining today's Town Seal Design Committee meeting. The date is August 6th, 2024, and the time is 7:06 p.m. This is a virtual meeting, and it's open to the public. Right now we have Tori Partridge here, Rush Baker, Jessica Barnes, Councilmember Lingua, and Melissa here. Um, we will be kind of sharing the final Town Seal design presentation prepared by Tori. And we'll have some room for final kind of minor feedback if needed. But really, we are trying to prepare a presentation for the council to review during their work session in September. So the focus for today's meetings will be to identify any final tweaks or considerations needed for that final deck that it'll be going to the council. So with that, is everyone okay with the agenda? Is there anything else we should add before we get started?
Looks good.
Agenda's fine by me. Yeah, agenda looks great to me. I will have to hop by like between 7:30 and 7:45 though, just as a heads up. So if I drop off around that period of time without saying goodbye, apologies in advance, but no ill intent is meant by it.
I will try to keep the presentation efficient.
No
worries
problem
at all.
Melissa. All right, feel free to hop off when you have to, Melissa. Okay. All right, so I guess we'll give the floor to Tori to share her most recent presentation. And then we will kind of open up the room for any kind of comments for her. So feel free to share your screen now, Tori.
It says I cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. So if you wouldn't mind stopping sharing, I think I can do it.
Yes.
Okay. Desktop. Okay. Let's go over here. Can you guys see that if I'm here?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. I have it on like full screen mode, so I can't actually see you guys right now. So, but it's fine. I figured it'd be easier to have it on presentation mode. All right. So some of this is going to be a repeat for all of you. Basically, what I wanted to do in putting together this presentation was not only complete the design and get it to a place where I was really like in love with it in terms of kind of the finality of it and like all the details the way that I wanted them, but also to put together a presentation so that anyone at any point in the future, you know, who gets this presentation has sort of the full spectrum of information around symbology, around usage, around kind of what we were referencing when it was designed, and also potential uses for the way that the logo is going to, the town seal is going to be used. So if there, I'll also say I'm very happy to take feedback and final tweaks on the town seal itself. But also another thing I'd love to hear from you guys is there additional context that you think would be useful for me to put into this presentation? Or is there context that you think could be worded differently, et cetera, just to make sure that we have essentially a document that if all of us got hit by a bus tomorrow, somebody could pick up and really know kind of what we worked on and know how to use the work that we all did together. So we've got a few different things that we're going to talk about today. All right. We've got the full color seal in its finished version with everything kind of the way that I want it to look. We've refined all of the line work. We've found the balance in between the sort of simplicity of the line work from the last version and like the painterliness from the version a little bit ago. I can show you guys kind of a progression of how those look so that you can get a sense, but we've refined the butterfly, I've refined the tulips, I've refined all of the line work on everything. I basically started from scratch and really got it to a place where I was really happy with the level of contrast. I've also worked the colors. We kept the main colors the same, but working with the lightening, kind of getting the right shades of the lighter yellow and the darker yellow and the lighter blue and the darker blue, and same thing with the greens, to really make sure that it was where we wanted it to be, where I wanted it to be. There are some other really small adjustments. There were really small adjustments made to the sort of sizing and spacing of the text. There were adjustments made to the spacing of the railroad tracks. All of these things are kind of things that went in there. But that is our final town seal in full color. And here it is in black and white. And I think they both are super duper successful and both will look really nice on whatever they get placed on. While we're on these, do we have any final tweaks that you guys would like to discuss while we're kind of looking at these parts of the town seal?
Gosh, your idea before about like going through the progressions, I think it might be good. Let's see that first before we start thinking about tweaks or anything, because that may explain a lot of things.
Let me pull that up for you over here. Okay, so
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. We've got our progressions over here. So
Okay.
we've got, this was our initial sketch over here. Here's the one that was sort of like the one that is, if you kind of zoom out on it, it's just a little bit too thin, a little bit too detailed. Here's the one I showed at the last meeting, which was just a little bit kind of lost a little bit too much detail, was just a little bit too busy. And when you looked at it, you couldn't really parse things out from each other. And here is the balance in between the two of those. And this is the final one over here.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks great. It's good to be able to see the progression between the original draft to the final.
Yeah.
And just how much we were able were able to kind of simplify things. I think the areas where you darkened in the lines read really well at the smaller scale, and then like the details you get as you zoom in at a bigger scale really come through. And I also just want to say that the spacing on top of the railroads, I think, is very balanced and feels really open, and but also still frames the town of Riverdale Park font really well.
Mhm.
I think it's amazing to see how this has evolved, even subtly, into the final version. So thanks for your work on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll piggyback Rush's comments with less artistic knowledge and just more like I'm so in love with this seal. It's absolutely beautiful. I think the way, Tori, that you've worked with the different feedback and the size needs of this seal, and the way that you've tweaked and found such a beautiful middle ground, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think you've taken all of the direction and thrown everything at the wall, and what we're coming away with is something that we can all be very, very proud of.
All right. Is there any other feedback? Would you like me to head back over to the other slide? Or do we want to take a peek at the progression for a little bit longer?
I think that's good.
All right.
It's yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it if everyone else is okay with it. So I don't want to. Like I've said, this is not my train to run. This is all of your train to run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than okay with the seal. It sounds like Rush is too. So I think
Absolutely.
it sounds like we're good to move on to the next pieces.
All right. Excellent. So again, we'll just have I'll just have some sort of examples of the different use cases for both of these, but there's really good times where you're going to be able to use the full color. There's really good times where you're going to need just the single color. I have not put together the full kind of package, like design package for you yet, just because I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any tweaks before I went and made like 30 different versions of this in every single, possible thing that you could need. But the plan is basically to give you guys a full package. So we've got large versions, we've got versions for print, we've got versions for web, we've got versions that are icon sized, we've got versions where it's black on a transparent background or white on a transparent background, so that kind of no matter what use case you guys have, you're gonna have the right version to work with that. I put this in a bunch of different color variations within the sort of seal colors that we've picked, and within the sort of like larger colors, colorscape that we can use. I'm putting some
Wow.
instructions in here, basically just saying don't make like the text one color and the rest of it another color. Like when it's in a color, it really should just be in a solid color. And we're gonna look through some sort of successful and some unsuccessful versions of kind of how the logo can be used across the board. But this will show future people like that it can be used in a number of different colors on different applications. It can also be used with 2 different colors from the color palette that we're choosing. And here's some sort of examples,
Wow.
successful versions of that. So a nice like high contrast version is going to be something that's going to work really well, and I think could look nice in a number of different varieties. I've got a couple of unsuccessful examples here, and this is sort of a what not to do, which don't stretch the logo or distort it. Don't add a stroke around it. Don't change the orientation of the logo so it's kind of tilted or sideways, and don't put the logo in any color that's not within the designated color palette. I'm sure there might be like small exceptions to that rule, but by and large, try to stick with the colors within the color palette of the logo. I have a whole section on symbolism. This is going to be a lot of repeat information for everyone who's been here for previous presentations.
Another feeling.
But essentially, I wanted to
Come
have
look.
a section in the presentation so that if somebody was reading this coming in with zero information, they would know everything that they need to know about all of the different elements that are part of the town seal. And if you guys want to send this out to folks, this is a great way to get acquainted with kind of all the different parts of the town seal. You've all seen this slide before. We've got the 3 pathways symbolism on here. We've talked about this already. We've got the natural beauty symbolism on here, talking about both the tulips and also the corn. We've got the Riversdale symbolism, so people can see the window with the sunburst of the house, and talking a little bit about why it was included in the way that it was included within the seal. We've got a little bit about Adam Francis Plummer, and we've also got a little bit about the symbolism of the monarch butterfly as a symbol for like hope and migration and resilience, and welcoming new people who are living in the town who've migrated from other parts of the world. All right, heading on into colors. We have got essentially, I'm calling it the brand colors, but it's essentially the colors that are being used in the town seal and can be used within any merchandise, collateral, anything that's getting used sort of with the town seal. I've got our hex colors in there, our RGBs, as well as PMS colors. These are PMS is like sort of your standard Pantone colors. If you're going to need to do something where they're asking you for a Pantone color, or if they're asking you for a hex color, if they're asking you for any of these things, all of that information is going to be on this slide. So we've got our 3 central colors up here, which are the yellow and the blue from the Town of Riverdale Park's logo, so that we ensure consistency and it fits kind of seamlessly across branded materials. But then each color has a lighter shade and a darker shade, so that there's a little bit of flexibility within things that you can use for collateral, and it also kind of brings some really nice depth of color into the town seal itself, but it's really all based around these three colors. And really, it's like the two colors that are already existing in the Riverdale Park brand, plus this new verdigris green that comes from the Riversdale Main Hall and is a historic color within the design of sort of that period. I've got a couple of versions of unsuccessful color pairing on here, just so you guys can get an understanding of like what will work pairing on pairing and what will not work pairing on pairing. You look at this like yellow on this blue, you can barely see it. Just make sure that anything that you're doing with the town seal, especially because it has a lot of detail, is really nice and high contrast, so that works nicely. Typography, I've got the font that's used for the town seal. This does not need to be a font that is used across the board, but I wanted you guys to have that information in case it's something that you need to use for future materials. And then I have some examples of graphic applications to show you guys how the seal can be used in collateral kind of across the board. We've got a nice little Frisbee over here. I think it'd look great on a tote bag. I think it'd look great on a mug. These are really just examples so you can see how it's sort of used in situ. And then examples for how the seal might be used in a single color approach. So over top of a photo in white, this is actually a picture of Riversdale Elementary, or if you were going to use a seal or a stamp, you know, in a single color, or if you were going to do screen printing on a t-shirt, one color would be really appropriate for all of those applications. So we've got full color applications, we've got single color applications, both read really nicely, both will work really, really well. And that is the end of the show. And we can head back on up
Amazing.
to this guy. I know I went through that quickly because I know some of us have time limitations today, but is there anything that you guys think you would like adjusted in here, or anything that you are worried that we didn't include and should be included?
And
Could we go to number 7?
before we start, I wanted to acknowledge that the town manager joined the meeting as well. So, hi, John. Just to kind of make sure that if there are any slides that he missed, if we can go back at any point, please do that. Which
Looking,
slide?
this one, number 7, color variations, which great idea, great thinking. When I look at these, the one center bottom row, good to have reflexes, huh? It's okay, don't worry. Center bottom row. Love that background, and I think it works really well with that. I guess it's a gold color, or I was wondering, Tori, if you tried a variation of the one next to it with that colored background, but using for the design that blue color. So it would be essentially that blue for the not sure exactly what the term is, but essentially for the lettering and the design, a blue design lettering with that gold background.
I don't
Say similar to the one that's bottom right, but with that gold background. Did you try one that way?
I mean, I tried a bunch of different variations, and this is really just to show you guys that like it works with all of the different color variations, but you can absolutely go to town on whatever color variation you guys would like to try out.
Okay.
I showed a couple that I thought were successful. I showed a couple that I thought weren't successful, but like you go try every flavor. Yeah.
They look great. I mean, it's a great idea. Great thing.
Yeah, I super appreciated this section of the presentation, Tori, when I reviewed it earlier. The different colorways. I like that we're being flexible with it, right? That we're not being rigid of like, oh, it can only appear in these 2 colors and that's it. I like that we're saying, you know, there are different circumstances that might come up where it looks best all in gold, or where it looks best as a 2-tone with these 2 colors. And yeah, go for it, play. Like, this is yours to use as you see fit, in a way that retains the integrity of the seal and still honors the importance of it. So I really appreciate the flexibility, but the borders within the flexibility too.
Yeah. All of the best logos and things like this work well when they have a single color that they can be used in, you know, like if it shouldn't have to be something where you have to have it in full color in order for it to be successful. So I wanted to show a bunch of different ways that worked.
Yeah, and I think thinking ahead, this also helps visualize what merch could look like with like different colored shirts, and the single colored town seal on top of the shirts. This is really helpful to
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I picked like a nice little like light blue shirt within sort of the town seal colors, with green on there, just to show kind of what that would look like.
Yeah,
See when I'm up on
It's
it.
it
nice.
looks really nice.
That looks really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to get some merch. I think the town seal committee should get the first the first set
dibs
of
on
t-shirts
merch.
or tote bags that that come out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want one of these
Yeah.
tote bags, guys.
And I think also like all the different colorways, it allows us to play, and like maybe one year the shirt looks one way and the next year it looks another way, and it's like, oh, gotta collect them all. Like, I think it's a fun,
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's a fun, cool thing that we can play with.
We're becoming a
That's a great
football
point.
team. I like it. It's good.
John, I know you joined us a little late. Would you like for us to go back to the main slide with the town seal design, or the symbolism slide that kind of explains the elements on the town seal? Just
No,
want to make sure that you.
I actually saw the presentation
Okay.
ahead of time
Great.
and read through the presentation. So thanks.
Great. Right. Do we all feel like this is enough context to share with the council? Does this all feel appropriate and enough information to kind of, in addition with the engagement summary that we'll be kind of submitting, that kind of gives a background on the color choices and the symbols that were chosen? Is there anything else we feel like we should share with the council, and information that would be helpful for future staff that might be using the town seal?
To me, this feels like more than enough information. I think it's very well done. It's laid out in a very clear and concise way. I guess I'll defer to Councilmember Lingua on on what they might want to see in the next meeting as they vote on this. But I think there's a good bit of information here to talk about the origin of the seal.
It felt
Well,
super
Mr.
comprehensive
Baker.
to me too.
Well, Mr. Baker, being that you brought it up, I was just thinking about that, and like I said, this is your train. You being the citizens on this committee, being that I'm going to be one of the people who can be sitting there eventually voting on this. I know you've all made presentations in the past. I'm confident that you all know how to be thorough with the presentation and making sure that aspects are covered. So I'm going to leave this to your judgment. What I'm seeing here looks sufficient. I can't speak for all my other council members, but what I've seen from this process is that everything has been gone over in a very thorough manner. And we've come to these decisions in a very thoughtful, and deliberate way. That being said, presentation decision belongs to you folks on the committee.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this is a super comprehensive presentation. To borrow a word from Councilman Lingua, I think it's extremely thoughtful. I didn't have any concerns when I went through and took a look, and I didn't feel like anything was missing. I was actually really interested to hear if other people picked up on things that I didn't pick up on. But it sounds like, Rush, you and I are in agreement as the community committee members, the citizen community members, that the presentation itself feels like it's good to go. It's scary to say that because this has been such a long process in some ways, like in a positive way, but it feels scary to be like, yeah, I think it's ready to go to committee. Like, let's send it. But I think we're there. It feels like we're there.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
So when would you like to take this to the council?
Yeah, I think the date that was mentioned is September 9th, Monday, September 9th.
I meet with the mayor at 8 o'clock tonight, so I'm talking to him about agendas, so I can let him know if the group is good that your target date is the 9th.
Yeah.
And we'll get that penciled in on an agenda then.
Great. Yeah. We will send the engagement report about a week or two in advance before that meeting so that the committee has a chance to review that in case there's anything, any feedback or kind of minor changes that need to be made to the report. But basically in the report, we'll kind of outline all of the engagements that we've done, kind of give numbers on people that attended the engagement sessions, how many survey responses we got, and anything that kind of informed the kind of final decisions on the town seal design. So it'll all be kind of context that will be good background to have when reviewing the town seal design package.
Sounds good.
All right. Looks like we're gonna get about an hour back. But yeah, we can, this has been shared with all committee members. I know that Jamie isn't here and Councilmember Smith isn't here, so we can give them some time to add anything about any missing context or information to the slide deck. And then this is pretty much ready, Tori, right? Are you planning to make any changes?
I was waiting to hear from this group tonight on whether there were any adjustments. I am at a place where I am like very, very happy with it. So I'm
Yay.
I'm at a place where I'm like, yep. If it was, I don't like sharing anything until I'm like really ready and proud of it. And like, I'm really ready and proud of this. I think it'll look really, really
Awesome.
nice on all of the applications that it's going forward to. I'm really happy with how the balance kind of came out in the end with everything that we're working on. I'm really happy with the color palette. I know these things may seem like very small changes to you. I agonize over them. And so like I'm glad that it, you know, they say like design is like 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, and like that's always my goal here, is to make it look beautiful and easy by the end of it. I am happy to hold for a couple of days before kind of I'm curious whether this will be a thing that gets put in front of town council and they will come back with something that needs to be changed, or whether this is going in front of town council and it either gets sort of a stamp of approval yes or a stamp of approval no. I just don't know that much about how the process goes here.
I can speak to part of this, and then Councilmember Lingua, if you have comments. The council is the only entity that can establish what the town seal is. And from a staff perspective, what we do is we do similar work to what you've done here as a committee. We engage, we bring together ideas, we research, and we put things together and we say, what do you think? And then the council reacts to that. And sometimes they make tweaks to things that the staff team proposes, and sometimes they accept things as presented. So in this case, you have a group that worked hard, did research, did background, very much the way the staff team works on things. And I think you'll go through a similar process. I think that they'll look at it, they'll ask questions, they may make some recommendations, they may ask for a tweak, or they may accept it as presented. That's kind of the process of local governance.
Yep.
Councilmember Lingua?
Yeah. That's, essentially that's pretty much what the process is going to be. And I would just say to the staff, to the committee members who will be presenting, as you presented other things to group, good thorough explanation on how you arrived at this design, what you saw, positives going forward with certain ideas, drawbacks on certain ideas and recommendations that you received. Really just having that discussion and getting into that evolution of to where you arrived with this design will go a long way in educating council as to this final design version.
As far as feedback from folks who were unable to make it tonight, I think that we should be very, very tight on the window of time that we would like them to, provide any feedback or thoughts that they might have, because I just don't want this to linger. If there's feedback in the next, 2 days or 3 days, but I think whatever we communicate next, it should be very clear of accepting feedback and additional thoughts from folks until X date and time, and then we're moving forward, because I really don't want us to stall, when we have pretty good consensus as far as feeling like this is ready.
Sure. Yeah, we can do the same as last time. Ask for feedback by Thursday or Friday, which will give everyone 2 or 3 days to respond.
That sounds good. And I'd also appreciate if the feedback could be sent to the entire group, because if things open different aspects back up for conversation, I don't want it to just be a person gives a piece of feedback and that feedback is then accepted, versus being able to have conversation as we've typically had in these meetings around any sort of feedback. I think at this stage in particular, making sure that we're all on the same page is really, really important. It's always important, but especially at this stage in the process, super important.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. So we don't have a next meeting plan, but we will make sure that we have the engagement summary ready to go for whenever you all meet next, so that you can review and add any feedback or edit suggestions that you may want to make to the engagement report. But yeah, we'll give everyone until Thursday or Friday this week to provide comments for the design package that Tori provided. And yeah, I think this is our last meeting together. It's been a long ride, but I really appreciate
I was gonna say our last working session maybe, but we will have
There you go.
celebration to come, right? We're
Yeah.
all gonna see each other. We're gonna celebrate.
Yeah, we're
last
gonna have a
work-
swag party.
Good call. Good call.
We will have some housekeeping things to wrap up towards the end, but NDC will not be with us when we do those things. So just in the future, do we want to meet again before this goes before the council, or who will be making the presentation? I don't think we really clarified those things.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I didn't know if we on the council were supposed to, or we on the committee were supposed to make this presentation, or if it was, kind of something that you all would do based on the feedback of the committee and the work that Tori put together. I unfortunately will be doing a fellowship at the University of Iowa, so I'm leaving the last week of August and will not be back until the holidays. But more than happy to chime in virtually. I know.
The
Always on the move.
I think it should
yeah.
be the committee that makes a presentation to the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
And along with Nazarius from NDC, and of course Tori, yourself. I think it should be. I think it being a collaborative effort would be sufficient.
I'd be more than happy to join and to help with that presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. Likewise, Tori, do you think you'll?
I'm putting it on my calendar for the 9th.
Okay.
I will be here for that day in September. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
And Rush, if you can find schedule out there while you're out there to find time in there to join us, that would be good.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to patch in virtually if it's possible. So let's we'll circle back with the technical aspects of that, but that sounds good to me.
Okay.
So it sounds like we might need more correspondence, whether it's async or a meeting. I hate to put another meeting on people's schedule, so I think that we can probably do this in an async manner, but just to get our ducks in order as far as who's doing what. Obviously, Tori would be doing the design and seal presentation for the visual aspect, but maybe giving some of the background or the like how we worked through this process, the survey information, like all of that. Maybe that can be split between Angelica and myself and Rush, or Jamie if Jamie's able to make it. So I think maybe we can do some async communication around who's owning what as far as that piece goes.
Yeah.
And Jamie might want to participate as well, so we should give her a heads up.
That's Jamie.
As our chair, committee chair.
Yeah, I would ask Jamie too.
Sounds good.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think that's a Jamie, me, Rush, and Angelica can kind of sort out, who owns which piece of the background information.
Sure.
I'm happy to present on as much or as little as you guys would like. If you'd like to really just take this and now it belongs to the Town Seal Committee and present it, you're very welcome to do that. I am not going to be a princess about it. Or if it would be helpful for me to jump in and kind of explain a bunch of different things, I'm happy to do that as well.
I would vote for you absolutely sharing all of the information about the design itself. So I think we can do the background and process, but then Tori, if you would be game to do the actual design presentation the same way that you did it for us tonight, or in the style of how you did it for us tonight, I think that would be really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I rushed through the symbolism a little bit on you guys because you already have all that information, but we can go through it with a little bit more detail with council.
Yeah, I think it would be good to know how much time we will have for the presentation as well, so we could prepare for that.
Oh, you'll have plenty of time.
Okay.
I hate to do this, but I do have to hop now. So thank you all for a wonderful meeting. I don't anticipate you'll be on much longer, but I will look for the follow-up email after the meeting to get briefed on anything that was discussed after I hopped. But everyone have a great evening. Tori, thank you again. I'm so excited about this deal. I can't even tell you.
Happy to hear
Thank
that.
you for joining, Melissa.
All right.
I am
Bye,
going
y'all.
to
Thank you,
stop
Melissa.
recording.
Take care,
Um,
Melissa.
I'm gonna stop recording. And
Okay.
see.